This is a training video for Jasco P-2000 polarimeter. So far I just have the computer turned on. I need to turn the instrument on. Green light should come on. We need to check a few things within the sample compartment. So there's a red screw here and it can either slide forward or backward. You need to make sure that it's pushed back. There's also a temperature probe here. A little metal rod with some wires attached. It needs to go through both of those holes in its holder. This dial controls the aperture and it needs to match aperture of our sample cells, and there's a place in the software where we need to type the same number. The ones that we currently all have are 8.0 millimeters, so I'm leaving that where it is. Now we're going over to the computer, opening up the software. Software is called Spectra Manager. So you need to look for P-2000 alpha. The other instrument is called P-2000 beta. You need to make sure that this list is extended, so click the little plus or minus. Double click on standard measurement. It will make you wait a minute until light source is warmed up, but this pop-up goes away when it's all warmed up. So we want to make sure the parameters are okay. So you are looking for this little picture of a hand hovering over a keyboard. If you hover your mouse over it, it says parameters. Click that. Generally, no one changes these parameters, but we just want to make sure they're all correct. So in the General tab, light source is tungsten halogen. It's abbreviated WI. Wavelength 589 nanometers. DIT 5 seconds. Cycle time 1 second. Calculation parameters, mode should be optical rotation. Control. Aperture in the sample compartment needs to be 8.0 millimeters. That needs to match the dial. Needs to be compatible with the sample cells that we have. Light source auto. And you do need to see a check mark here. Stop analyzer after measurement. I generally don't do anything with the information tab, but data. If you want your data to be auto-saved, you can click here. If you do that, it will make you select a file path. When you're done, click OK. So the first thing we need to do is run our blank. Our blank is deionized water. Sample cells are stored in this type of a container. They look like this. We need enough DI water or sample in this that you don't see any bubbles in the horizontal part of the tube. You also want to make sure that the edges are polished and don't touch them so that you don't get any, so that light can go through them clearly. But open your sample compartment, put this in, it needs to be pushed to the left. Close the little arm, close the lid. Back to the software. We need to run the blank. It's this green B blank measurement. And click measure. When something is actively running, you have the option to click stop. You can tell that it's done because stop grays out and your sample appears here. So this should read 0.0000, so this is good. You could go ahead and run your sample now. If this was not zeros, you would need to do a more extensive blank run procedure. So you would click this blank correction, and then you would run blank measurement again. You can do that blank correction, blank measurement over and over again until you do see 0.0000 here. Blank looks good. If this PMT voltage is greater than about 350 volts on a blank, something is wrong. But now we are ready to run a sample. So take your blank out of the sample compartment, sample goes into the same type of tube. I have a tube here filled with 5% sucrose, but same sort of deal. Make sure you don't have air bubbles in the horizontal part. Make sure this is all nice and polished so light can go through. Put it in here the same way, push it over to the left, close the arm, close the lid. So to run a sample, you're looking for this blue letter S. You can type whatever name you want, but click measure. So when this sample is done running, stop should gray out and the sample should show up here. You can run samples back to back. If you see this temperature changing drastically, you'd want to run the blank again, or maybe every 10 samples or so you should run the blank again just to be safe. But the value that you want to record is this optical rotation, 3.7104. When you are all done, you can take sample out, turn the instrument off, close out of the software.